everybody. It's me, Jessica, your health fitness program manager from McLean. Wow, I almost forgot my title, which is amazing because I've been using that intro for over 2 years now. I'm really looking forward to guiding you through today's Yin Yoga class. We're going to focus on giving some love to the calf. There's like two main muscles in the calf. I'm going to mispronounce at least one of them, but the Gastrocnemius and the Soleus, we're going to work to stretch them both. To make sure that we're getting into the gastrocnemius, we're going to do a standing forward fold with our feet gently lifted, with our arches lifted, but you're going to need to be able to have that straight leg stretch, and then we're going to take a bent knee stretch. So if reaching down to the floor, even reaching down to blocks already has you bending your legs, I hope that you will find a slightly higher surface that you can take a little hip hinge from, not hinging from the waist, and we'll get that stretch into our calves. So props that you need for today include either blocks or a chair, and I'm going to use a second yoga mat. However, if you are at home and you have a rolled up towel that you can use, or maybe some balled up socks, or if you are used to doing some self-myofascial release, maybe you're going to use a lacrosse ball or a rad ball to just get into that area a little bit deeper. We're going to start in 2 minutes, kneeling. So take this time before we get started to do whatever stretches feel good for your body today. And I'm going to look at our class a little bit because I've been so busy, which is amazing. Thrilled to be so busy creating programming and helping everyone out. I'm still gently figuring this class out. So if you're here early and you have any aches or pains that you want me to address, you drop it in the chat right now. I'll do my best to show some love to it today. And if it doesn't work out to get to it today, we can address it next week. All right, so I'm encouraging everyone to start in a kneeling position today. I'm already going to bring one of my blocks to the party. Again, we have 1 minute till we actually get started. So let me just look at this part over here. Yay! Oh, let's do this, everyone. If you haven't already made your way to the floor to come into a kneeling position, go for it. Remember, if kneeling is uncomfortable for you, finding a gentle lift should help. Sometimes even if you don't have a prop to sit on, taking a strap or those socks that I mentioned for you to bring, and taking the flat sock and placing it just behind your knee can help to create a little bit of extra space for your kneeling position. So we're going to start off in kneeling. If that really doesn't honor your body today, find the seated position of your choice. There we go. minutes out right now. We're starting our first relaxed 3-minute hold and scan of the body from kneeling. Maybe you have your knees open a little bit wider, which can be a little bit more relaxing and releasing, opening a bit of those inner thighs. Maybe you have your knees in a little bit closer. I like that because I feel those ankles starting to stretch. We're going to do an ankle stretch next though. So find a place to relax your hands. Maybe you even decide that you want to tuck your chin to your chest, get a little stretch through the back of the head and neck. Try not to round those shoulders forward too much here though, so still really lifted through the chest, even if chin is to chest. Slow your breath down and just notice how your body is feeling today. Remember, throughout Yin Yoga, we're looking to create a noticeable stretch. So hopefully you are feeling a little bit happening within your amazing supportive legs. And maybe you also have this delightful stretch happening to the back of your neck. But we're not looking to come into any stretch that's so deep that we feel pain. And if at any point your stretch goes from being just a noticeable, somewhat challenging engagement to something truly uncomfortable, take a moment, step back, reassess, and come into wherever it is that you can hold the stretch. So better to be a little bit less in it and find a place where you can create that stillness than to be going out and in and out and in. Remember that for Yin, if your eyes are moving, your mind is moving. So either finding one spot to focus and relax your eye gaze, or simply closing your eyes and doing the best that you can with your body today to create the shapes as I describe them. And I'll do my best today to really descriptively tell you about the shapes. We got just about 1 minute left here. Just slowing down our breath, slowing down the day. Do that scan of your body from head to toe and really take in, now that you've been a little quiet and created some stillness, where you might be feeling any tension. Typically we hold tension in the same places. Maybe it's between your eyebrows that are furrowed. Maybe it's pursing your lips. I know for me, wearing my shoulders as earrings, squeezing my glutes are the two places that I truly bring tension. So throughout class, my personal goal is to use the exhale to relax through the shoulders and relax that tension in the glutes. All right. Next up, we're just going to warm up the ankles a little bit more with an ankle stretch. So come off of your prop. If you were using one, go ahead, bring your knees together, and we're going to walk our hands to the back of the mat. So actively pressing the tops of the feet down to the floor. We're just going to alternate lifting one knee and then the other, getting a little bit of yang in our yin, creating some gentle movement, but as much relaxation through that upper body as you can find here. Still a little engagement of that abdominal core. Let's take just a couple more seconds moving through these stretches, and then we'll hold for a nice 30-second stretch on each of the ankles. Decide which one you're going to, start with, and go ahead, find that lift of the knee, really pressing the top of the foot into the floor. So yes, the quad is engaged, but focus on the opening, the stretch, the sensation that you're creating at the top of your ankle. You got 10 seconds left. Keep breathing. Find that one spot to focus your eyes or close them. And now let's switch. Other leg. Just coming into that nice big ankle stretch. So we're gonna work to open up the hips a little bit, open up the hamstrings, find some space in the ankles, and then we're gonna come into those big calf stretches for today. I know we focus on hamstring, lower back, hip opening a lot. I also believe, exhale, go ahead and release that leg down. Come onto all fours, give yourself a couple cat counts. I do believe that frequently when we think that our hamstrings are tight, there's also a big tightness in our calves. So that's why we're going to use our props to bring that love, those stretches to our calves, making sure we're stretching both calf muscles as mentioned earlier. Let's take one more full minute. Oh yeah. Getting a little separation of the shoulder blades in your cat. A nice stretch onto the belly and the low back in your cow. And then next up, we're going to go for our first hip opener. So perhaps you have a block nearby, nearby the opposite leg that you're going to bring forward. You can lift yourself up if you want to. Find a way to bring one leg forward and then find that slight little forward hinge. So knees not going past toes. I want you to really press that back knee, top of the foot down into the floor. So you're also getting a little opening of this back hip. I feel it in my front hip as well. The glute is firing up. Nice little stretch in the quad. We've got a total of 2 minutes here. We're already coming towards the end of the first minute. And we're going to turn this hip opener into a hamstring stretch shortly. Start that scan from your top of your head. Can you relax and release any of the muscles in your face, in your shoulders, in your chest? So really keep the focus right now on the lower half of the body. Remember, it's normal if you start to feel any shaking or trembling here. So we're just creating those deeper connections, working by taking these longer holds into our fascia, ligaments, tissue, even the bones, in addition to the skin, finding a big stretch. Do your best to keep those hips square to the top of the mat so we're not twisting our hips at all, to be open towards the side of the leg that's behind us. Hips are really staying forward. You have time for about one more breath. And on your exhale, we're gently going to pull the glutes back towards our heels, start to straighten that front leg out. I'm going to bring my other block along to the party as we come into a hamstring stretch right here. Wow, so we're really sending those glutes a little further back towards the heels. Whether you keep your foot down on the floor or flex your toes back towards your face, if you really find this big stretch, I'm creating a flat back here because that feels good. It's helping my tired body feel supported. Make sure that you're hinging from the hips, so I'm not really finding that rounding through the shoulders or the waist. We've got a total of 2 minutes in this hamstring stretch before we bring it back forward for a slightly deeper hip opener on this side. So slow your breath down. And if you want to, on this final minute, if you want to find a little bit of rounding, if that feels good for the back side of your body, that's okay. The closer that you do get your nose or chest towards your knee, the more that you're going to feel this hamstring stretch. But if you need to stay lifted, even if you're lifted all the way up because your body is really tight, you gotta do what feels right for you. This is your practice. Practice makes practice. It doesn't have to be perfect. You might even already be feeling that stretch in your calf. Take your last big breath here And then as you're ready, we're gonna walk our hands forward again, shift the weight forward, take a bend in that front knee, bringing my hands to the inside of my leg. This time I'm gonna even be supported on my block so I don't have to reach too far down. Go ahead and allow your front knee to drop gently towards the side. So you can still be a high flying dragon here, or you can lower yourself a little lower down towards the mat if that feels good for you today. Front knee is just gently falling out towards the side. Maybe you even find that you roll a little bit onto the side of your foot. Taking our last 2 minutes right here before we bring the same 3 stretches to the other side. This is creating a lot of opening in that back leg hip, which once again is squared down towards the floor. Remember, you're trying to find that noticeable stretch that you can remain in as opposed to going deeper and then coming out. Find that place that you can stay, even if that means that you're lifted. Maybe you don't drop that knee out towards the side. We got 1 minute left here. Create as much relaxation through your upper body as you can. One last slow breath. Keep it really delightfully slow. And then if you came down on your forearms, carefully lift yourself up. Ooh, shift the weight more towards that back knee. Go ahead, bring your 2 knees together. Maybe you open them wide and bring your toes together. Let's take a moment in child's pose. While we're there, I'm gonna tuck my shirt in like a winner. Because you know, I like to tuck my shirt in like a winner. Just kidding, you know I don't like to tuck my shirt in at all. All right, so just about 30 more seconds to relax in your version of child's pose. How was that first set of hip openers and hamstring stretches for you? Personally, I can attest to the fact that that felt hard today. And that's okay. Every day is different. Every day our bodies are different. So just honoring whatever you can do with your body today. You showed up, then that is enough. Bring yourself back up to tabletop. Give yourself some cat-cows here. Ooh. Think about maybe giving yourself some lateral stretches, looking over one shoulder and then the other. Take this 1 minute to move and find what honors you. And then we'll come back into our stillness. I like adding in a little bit of yang with our yin to just like get rid of the spilkies. Because, you know, sometimes it's hard to just be completely still, especially as we come into a practice in the middle of the workday. Maybe our mind is still going a million miles per hour with all of your work stuff. So if you're focusing on anything besides the stretch that you're creating and your breath, that's normal. But I encourage you to do your best to tell those outward thoughts, hey, this is my time. And to be as present as possible. All right, let's come on to that other side hip opener. So go ahead, shift one leg forward. Take that forward shift. Make sure that your knee is not going past your toe. So I'm going to stay really high and lifted on this first side hip opener. Make sure you didn't turn at all towards the leg that you have behind you. So hips are squared towards the mat. We just got 2 minutes in each position. So this front hip opener, then our hamstring stretch, and then our hip opener with the knee falling out towards the side, or a little low flying dragon. your wrists are hurting at all, you can always make knuckles, press those fists into the floor. We got 1 minute left to go. And if you need to, and that's still too much on your hands, just being right here, even in the 90-90, pressing the back knee down towards the floor, a little squeeze the glute, a little imaginary maybe even, press forward of the hip. Wow, I feel that back hip opening 100% with a little bit more ease. Don't feel like you have to do the same thing on both sides of the body, because every day is different, our body is different. You know, I'm sure that you have a side that you might maybe cock that hip up higher, or perhaps you always lead with your right leg when you start walking or when you take the stairs. So it's normal if one side might feel a little bit more tense than another. Awesome. We're gonna move it into that hamstring stretch, so walking. Your hands, your glutes back, maybe you need to wiggle that leg forward a little bit. Take that hinge from the hips, not from the waist, not from the upper back, to come into that stretch in your hamstring. I know I don't normally wear socks when I'm teaching class because I want to be able to get as much grip of my foot and whatnot on the floor, but it is cold in here. And I 100% believe that finding ways to keep the body a little warm, hence I'm wearing this cozy sweatshirt, can also help you create a little extra space in your stretches. So that's something we can also look forward to with the warmer weather coming up, a little increased range of motion. 1 minute left. Take that tension out of your upper body. Just focus on your breath. Can you even bring a smile to your face right now? I hope so. I hope you smile just because you're proud of yourself for coming. Smile at each breath that you're able to take. Great, let's walk ourselves forward. One more time, shift the weight forward into that front heel. Maybe you even find that you need to wiggle your foot a little further out on the mat. Allow that knee to begin to hang heavy towards the side. Bringing the stretch a little bit more into that inner thigh as well. Last 2 minutes here. And then we'll start focusing on the calves to make sure that we have time for all of our calf stretches, because wow, y'all, we are blowing through this class time. Time flies when you're having fun, right? Final minute in this last hip opener. Do your best to just stick with it. Keep your breath slow. How many breaths does it take you to get to the end of the minute? I recognize that when stretches are more challenging, it's a little harder to keep those super long breaths. But do your best to continue to keep your exhale a little longer than your inhale. That's naturally going to keep your heart rate down. It's going to help you feel a little bit more relaxed here. If you lowered yourself down onto the forearms for this last hip opener, start to lift yourself up, start to shift the weight towards your back leg. Let's do one more time coming into child's pose. I'm going to keep my blocks here, and I'm going to keep my hands lifted on the blocks, even pulling them closer so I can bring my elbows to the block to enjoy a little bit more of a stretch through the lats, through the side of the body, a little into my challenge shoulder. Maybe you reach your fingers back to give yourself a massage on your neck. While we're hinged forward, think about using each inhale to expand the space on your back ribs. Just a couple more breaths left here. Great work. Bring yourself to tabletop one more time, one more opportunity to create some space in the back side of the body, stretching through the shoulder blades. Getting some stretches on those lower abs with this minute of cat and cow. Can you notice a little more range of motion now that we're about halfway through class? Maybe you could pull your chest a little further forward in your cow. Maybe you get a little bit more rounding in your cat. Awesome. Come on back to kneeling position. And move your props, your block, I should say, to the front of the mat. And next up, we're going to make use of your rolled up towel, your socks, your yoga mat, whatever it is that you're going to use for a little self-myofascial release, a little pressure that we're going to create on the back of the legs. So come ahead, lift yourself up and place your prop as close to behind the knees as possible. We're going to take a couple different holds. So it's really up to you how much you're sitting down to apply this pressure right here. We're gonna roll or do our best to move your prop. Obviously this giant rolled up yoga mat is really hard to get directly behind my knees, but if you're using a small ball or that rolled up pair of socks, hopefully you were able to really get it in there. We're gonna spend 1 minute here, just breathing. I know this is a very noticeable stretch. Remember, you can always lift yourself up. So maybe you're pressing your shins into the mat a little bit more than sinking your glutes towards your heels. Find what works for you. The softer the object that you're pressing into, the more you're probably able to relax your glutes down. So good. All right, 2 more times. Just kind of roll your prop a little closer towards the ankles. Mine's not going to go too much closer towards the ankles. Come into your stillness though. We're doing the best that we can, and our best is always enough. Let's take another minute of stillness here. We're going to do this 1 more time. So hopefully you're somewhere around the middle of your calf right now. And you're feeling a noticeable stretch. Remember, you're applying as much pressure as works for you. So either truly sitting down, maybe glutes are coming close towards heels, or that gentle little lift. It's going to make it a little bit easier. Last 10 seconds before we find 1 more hold. So now roll your prop a little closer towards the ankles. This is the closest to the ankles that we're going to get. Sit down one more time. Find that squeeze. Maybe you can sit down a little bit more, create a little bit more pressure while your prop is not behind the bulky, muscular meat part of your leg. On your next inhale, lift yourself up to kneeling, remove your prop completely, and let's come up back down into Vajrasana, into your kneeling position. We're going to spend another minute here. Just notice how it feels. Does it feel a little easier to kneel? A little bit more relaxed? Challenge ourselves even more in this position, but it's our last time kneeling for the day with some Supta Vajrasana. So you can bring yourself up onto your hands and tabletop. Start with those knees as close together as possible and gently separate your feet. It's okay if your knees need to separate a little bit as well. You're going to walk your hands back and work to sit your glutes down between your heels. So I need to separate my knees just a little bit to work to get my glutes between my heels. I'm feeling a little tight today, so they're not going all the way down, and that's all right. You can begin to walk your hands behind you as long as your shins and knees stay down on the mat. So we're not looking to lift our knees like we did in that ankle stretch. And if that's a lot, just with those knees slightly separated, keep your hands on the floor and work towards bringing your knees down towards the mat. Oh, there they go. If you can get your glutes down on the floor, you can always bend one arm and then the other to bring your elbows down towards the mat. And let's just stay right here. We don't need to go any further in fixed firm. Can you work to bring those knees closer together if they separated? So you're creating a nice human bridge here. Maybe the top of your head even touches down towards the mat. Mine will not be making it there today. But you can look with your eyes, because where your eyes go, your body follows. Let's take 3 slow breaths right here. Still pressing those shins, those knees towards the mat. You should really feel those quads getting a nice stretch here too. Ooh, maybe even a little cramping. Go ahead, one more breath. If you move them at all, bring your hands back to your feet. Press through your elbows if you're all the way back. Lift yourself up, one arm at a time. Walk your hands in front of you. And then go ahead, tap those toes. I know that was a big stretch into those ankles as well. We were taking a moment to cut the circulation off below the knees into the legs, and that helps to really encourage that blood flow to come through and help to clear away any scar tissue and discomfort that we're feeling. All right. Props at the top of your mat. If you're using blocks, you're going to want to place your blocks about 1 foot away from your rolled up mat or towel. So I'm going to place this rolled up mat on the floor. Heels stay down on the floor, and you're going to place the arches of your feet onto your prop. Now remember, we're hinging from the hips, not the waist. And if the floor feels really far away, if you can't reach down with straight legs, you're going to use a chair or a desk or something so that you can have these nice straight legs to begin with. We're going to do 30 seconds of straight legs, and then we're going to do 30 seconds of bent knees. Higher hands make it easier to keep that bend out of your leg. This first stretch with straight legs is going to hit the gastrocnemius. The second stretch with bent knees is going to hit the soleus. So make sure that your heels are down on the floor, that the arch of your foot is supported by your prop. And then go ahead, bend your knees. Take that slight bend in your knees, and do you feel a slightly different stretch in your calves? I sure hope so, because we're going to do this 2 more times. So it's just a quick little 30-second hold in each direction. Use that exhale to find that straightness in your legs. I'm hinging from the hips, not from the waist. So a nice flat back here. My shoulder blades are engaged, squeezing towards each other and seated along the length of my spine, down the back. Toes are pointed forward, heels invisible behind toes. Go ahead, bring that bend to your knees. So my belly's just coming a little closer to the thighs with this bend in the knees. Maybe you need to bring your prop a little bit closer to be supported. We got one more time coming your way in each direction. So on your exhale, straighten those legs. Slow, deep breaths. One last time on your exhale, go ahead, bend your knees. Last breath here. When you finish this last breath, we're just going to gently step our feet off of our prop. You can keep your hands on the prop, getting into that hamstring stretch. Once again, it's okay if you need to bring a bend to your knee. Maybe you can reach your hands all the way down towards the floor. Just make sure that you're hinging from the hips. So my belly is once again on my thighs like a table, finding that hip hinge as opposed to hinging from the low waist, which would create a lot of space and rounding in that lower back. Let's hang out here. Ooh, oh, that feels so good. If your hands can't reach the floor, but you don't want to have them on the prop, maybe you go ahead, grab hold of your opposite elbow. We'll take about 15 more seconds in stillness, and then I'll give you the option to bring a little movement into this hamstring stretch as well. Should make it a little bit easier. So maybe you bend one knee and then the other, starting to get some movement in your hips. Or maybe you gently rock side to side. Like a rag doll. You're amazing. Take 3 more breaths here. And when you finish your 3rd breath, we're going to heel toe our feet out nice and wide and take 1 supported squat for the day. Personally, this is feeling so so good in separating my shoulder blades with control. So a little upper body, lower body at the same time. All right, take that heel toe out of your feet. I got mine about mat's width distance apart. Heels are in, toes are out at a 45-degree angle. I'm gonna bring that prop behind me and sit down on the block. My elbows transfer to inside of my thighs to press those thighs out. Do your best to get those feet, flat on the floor. Can you lift your chest while you're here as well? So taking that rounding out of your low back. When we get off of our props, if you're using them for the squat, we'll find a nice stretch using the block. One last time for your low back. And if you don't have a block, you can always use that rolled up towel, because next up we're going to come into a supported glute bridge. Whew. All right, take your time. Make your way back down to the floor. Yay! So soles of the feet come down towards the floor. A little bit of ab work right here. Carefully lower yourself down. One vertebrae at a time, as slow as you can. Onto the mat. You can walk your feet in a little bit closer. Go ahead, press into the soles of your feet. Lift yourself up into a glute bridge and place your prop, either that rolled up towel or your block, at your low back. Find a place to relax your arms, maybe one on your heart, one on your belly, maybe arms relaxed down by your side. Maybe a little extra stretch of your chest with your arms stretched out to the wall away from you. We'll spend 2 minutes right here in this supported glute bridge. If you want to bring a little bit more stretch into the belly, you can also come into pontoon pose. Oh my gosh, here. By walking or wiggling your legs further forward, maybe even bringing your arms, no thank you, your arms up overhead. Ow, shoulder. All right, come on back to that stillness. Listen, we already did hero pose, so you don't need to be a hero. You're not proving anything to anyone here. You're finding what feels good for your body today. And it's okay that every day feels different. And it doesn't matter what you did yesterday or last month or last year, because it doesn't matter what you're going to do tomorrow or next week. It just matters that you're doing what feels good and is creating the opening right now. Flexibility builds over time, and unfortunately, it's also very use it or lose it. So if you don't maintain a regular yoga stretch flexibility practice, it's very normal for you to feel tight. When it's tense in life, it's normal to feel a little bit tighter. So just appreciate whatever you've brought to today's class. Last couple breaths here in either your supported glute bridge or some version of pontoon posture. If you did walk your legs all the way out, apply some pressure into your heels carefully. Walk, wiggle your legs back into your glute bridge. Soles of the feet planted firmly on the floor. Press into them. Lift your hips up and exhale. Lower yourself down. Spread your arms out to the side. Roll over onto one hip. Let's take a nice spine twist for 1 minute. Just checking out my shirt tuck on each side before we come into our final Savasana. you're having trouble stacking those knees, or if this is uncomfortable in your hips at all, remember you can always continue to use your prop, maybe placing a block or a towel between your legs, maybe placing a block or towel underneath of your bent knees, whichever direction they fell in. As you're ready, roll back through center. Bring your low back to the mat for a moment. Take a full breath with it in contact there. And then press into your heels. Carefully roll over to the opposite side. Drop those knees down. Come to your spine twist in the other direction. Just about 1 minute here. Great work, you amazing you. Go ahead and roll onto your back again. Firmly plant that low back on the mat. And make your way into your final Savasana. Whatever that looks like for you. Maybe you're coming into another hip opener in butterfly. Maybe your low back is still smarting and you tense your knees. Maybe you extend your legs in front of you. It's our last chance for stillness. It's our final 2 minutes together. Though, as always, I encourage you to stay in this final Savasana for as long as your body needs. And what does that mean? That means if you're trying to get up and race off of your mat, you need to stay here a little bit longer. Sorry. I promise whatever else you need to do today will be there when you do get up. So scan your body from head to toe one more time. Relax your hair follicles, your eyes and your eyebrows. Relax your jaw and your neck. Really sink your shoulders and upper back, middle back, lower back, glutes into the mat. Relax through your thighs. Maybe they spiral out gently. Tune into your delightfully more open calves and ankles, even relaxing your toes. Continue to rescan the body from head to toe. Check in. Only you know where those tense spots creep back in. Take 3 more breaths to really let them go. And remember, even when class ends, throughout the day, you're always welcome to tune back into this awesome breath, to start that scan from the top of your head to the tip of your toes, to ask yourself how you can relax. Changing your breath is one of the best ways to change your mental channel, to move away from the stress and tension in your life, to apply your yoga practice to whatever it is that you're dealing with, whether it be figuring out what's for dinner, a meeting with your boss, relaxing enough to just finish a project, or even breathing through something like folding and putting away laundry. You're worth being relaxed through all of these things because you are amazing. I'm so proud of you for coming to class today. Again, you can stay here in this final Savasana as long as it honors you. If you'd like to close class together, take your time, make your way with intention to a seated position. when you get there, let's go ahead, inhale those arms all the way up. Bring your hands, palms together overhead, and exhale, bring them down to heart center. When they get there, tuck your chin to your chest. Bow to and honor your amazing self. I hope that you feel a little bit lighter, looser, comfortable, easier, more flexible than when we started class today. If you have any questions or concerns about anything I said or we did, I know you'll reach out. So we are together again. Be good to yourself. Think good thoughts. Speak good words. Eat good foods. Do good deeds. Take that time to nourish yourself from the inside out. And as always, I hope you know how much I appreciate you. I'm so thankful you came to practice with me today. Know that the light within me honors, sees, and is endlessly thankful for the light within you. So continue to let it shine. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And let us say, namaste.